Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. We are continuing today with our theme about inspirational, faith-filled stories to do with the Olympic Games. And perhaps one of the most famous Christian athletes was Eric Liddell, the Scottish sprinter. And if you have seen the movie Chariots of Fire, and although it's an old film, it's well worth watching, then you may feel you know his story already, that he was a talented runner, that he was due to compete in the Olympics, but they were going to run his favorite race, the 100 meters, on a Sunday, and so instead he competed in the 400 meters and he won the gold medal. That's inspiring enough, and that all happened, but there was much more to Eric Liddell's life than that. Eric Liddell was actually born in China. Indeed, China claims him as the first Chinese Olympic gold medalist. He was born to missionary parents, but they took him back to Scotland when he was just a very young boy. He grew up to play rugby for Scotland and became a star athlete, known as the fastest man in Scotland. And yet all who knew him, both in school and in college, testified that despite his fame and his prowess on the sporting fields, that there was nothing of vanity about him whatsoever. He was a keen evangelist. He used to speak to crowds of people that would come to see him and hear his testimony because of his reputation as such a powerful sportsman. Now, when it was coming up to the Paris Olympics in 1924, yes, the 100 meters was his best event, but the heats were going to be run on a Sunday, and Eric Liddell's principles would not allow him to run on a Sunday. Now, I have to say, I personally take a bit of a different view on the Sabbath day, because the Sabbath day was a Saturday and it was fulfilled in Jesus Christ. But nevertheless, I respect Eric Liddell enormously, because he stood up for what he believed in, even when others pressurized him not to. So he didn't run the 100 meters. Instead, he ran in the 200 meters, where he won a bronze medal. And he ran in the 400 meters, where he not only won the gold medal, but also set a new world record. Well, he could have gone on for a glittering athletic career for many years, but the very next year he went himself as a missionary to China. He was ordained as a congregational minister, and he married a young lady called Florence, and they labored together on the mission field for a number of years. But in 1941, the Second World War had begun, and Japan was acting more and more aggressively towards China. And Eric sent his wife away to Canada for safety's sake with their 2 daughters, and she was pregnant with their 3rd daughter, a daughter that Eric would never ever meet, because shortly after Florence went, Eric was arrested by the Japanese. He was put as a prisoner in an internment camp, and there he got sick with a brain tumor. Perhaps treatable somewhere else, but not in an internment camp. He grew worse. Now, interestingly enough, just before the Beijing Olympics, would be 2008, the Chinese authorities actually put out a story which we can't verify, and it took everybody by surprise. But the Chinese authorities said that Eric Liddell had the opportunity to be released, that Winston Churchill had actually negotiated a prisoner exchange where some Japanese prisoners would be exchanged and some Allied prisoners, including Eric Liddell, would be released and be able to return home. But that Eric Liddell refused to take that offer, instead insisting that a pregnant woman in an internment camp would take his place instead. Either way, he got sicker, and it was apparent that he was dying, and a fellow inmate was in talking to him one day. Eric Liddell was lying in his bed, and the guy that was talking to him was actually writing a book about being fully surrendered to Christ. Eric Liddell sat up, tried to say the word surrendered, and couldn't. He said, "Seren, Seren," and then fell back and died. He couldn't say the word surrender, but his life truly was surrendered to God. You know, he was a great Olympian. He was a gold medalist. He was a world record holder. He was somebody who stood up for his principles, and no matter what the cost. But he often said to people, Whenever they asked him as a missionary, did he not miss being an athletic star? He said that actually, his calling as a missionary was a higher calling than anything else he had ever done in his life. So today we do remember and are inspired by Eric Liddell, a great Olympian and a greater servant of Christ. May God bless you today, and please join us again tomorrow for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock, Drogheda.